Okay guys, so I'm now going to show you subqueries. All a subquery is a query within a query. So click your patients table and you can see it says select all the records from the patients, right? And all the columns. I want you to press edit on here and we're going to make a query so it only brings back patients that have appointments. Okay, so how you do that is you go where, okay, and we're going to go select count as C. Now before we go any further, I want to explain this to you. So I'm just going to get rid of this a minute. You guys keep yours as it is. Right. What count does is it counts the records. So select count as C from patients. Watch this. You can see that gives us 2, right? So that's what count does. Count basically counts all of the records in a table. And when we go as C, that means we want to bring it back as C. Right? You see that? So C isn't a column in our database, by the way. It isn't, right? But you know, this can be A, B, C, D, E, F. And you can see that it'll bring back that. Okay, so it just counts the records basically, right? There's 2 patients, so it brings back 2. Okay, so back to what we were doing. Sorry about that. So select everything from patients where, and then we're going to go bracket, select count as C from appointments where, okay, this is getting a bit confusing, but don't worry, bear with me, I'll explain it. Where patients dot patient ID equals appointments dot patient ID. Okay, and then what we do is we go above 0. Now I just want you to run that a minute. And we can see he's brought this back, right? But if we didn't have an appointment, it wouldn't have brought this back. So let me explain what's happening. We press edit again. So what happens is we say select all the columns from the patients and all the records, but only and all the records where, and then we run this subquery. Okay, so let's see what this subquery does. We say select the total number of appointments where the patient's patient ID is equal to the appointment's patient ID. Okay, now we know the patient's patient ID because we select all the patients. So it resolves that for us, right? A bit like in the joins, right? Similar to the joins. So what we're saying is where the patient's patient ID is equal to the appointment's patient ID, then we should get the count. And then this above 0 is where we're saying is the count above 0, because this here changes to this 1 because there's 1 appointment that patient has. So is 1 above 0? Yes, 1 is above 0. So what happens is because 1 is above 0, it brings us back that patient because that little subquery equivalates to this, right? So press go now. There we go. And we can see that Chloe Smith didn't get brought back when we first ran that query because she doesn't have an appointment. So subqueries are very useful for things like this. A real life scenario that I've used them for is checking if somebody's blocked. If you have some sort of communication, you know, you can use that to check if someone's blocked somebody or something, right? Or you know, you can bring back only users that meet certain criterias that are in other tables that you want to compare to other tables. So that's subqueries for you. They do get confusing. So if you have any questions on that or this wasn't clear enough, please let me know because I'll make another video to try and talk about them further. Basically, the subqueries, they run and then they return a result, and then you can use that result in the base query, the first query you did, there wasn't the subquery, and you can use that result to compare, or you can even you can even bring data back based on subqueries as well. Like for example, if we did this dash select count as C from appointments, then if we run that, we can see, if we scroll here, it gives us this, right? It shows this query here because it's ran that, yeah? So we press edit again. So what this does, it brings us back all the patients, but it also creates an an invisible column just for this query that has the total number of appointments, which will be 1, sorry. We only have 1 appointment currently. But yeah, so this as C that I've done here, in this case it would go here, right? So you would go as C, and if you press go, and you can see that it's C, right? So very useful stuff. You can put subqueries all around your query, and they are useful. You won't really know when to use them until the time comes where you run into the problem and you think, oh, do you know what? A subquery would be useful for that. I don't use them very often, but when I do need them, they're very useful. So that's subqueries.